Okay. Good afternoon, everybody. Hello. Hi to the side that's meeting me back because there's no bully outside. We're just gonna do a song service. I can just close our eyes as we start. Dear Heavenly Father, we invite you again this afternoon. Lord, we ask for your Holy Spirit to please be with us. Give us your words, dear Heavenly Father, and may you please receive our praise and worship. In the mighty name of Jesus Christ, amen. We are marching over to Jerusalem. Yeah. We are marching over to Jerusalem. We are marching over to Jerusalem. We are marching over to Jerusalem, Jerusalem, Jerusalem. Okay, let's pick up the pace again.
We're going to do Tumelokitele. We know that, right? Do we know what it means, Tumelokitele? No. Yeah. So Tumelo is belief, it's faith. Tele is a solid rock. So Tumelokitele. So you must sing with understanding, right? I think the more we understand, the better we sing. Tumelokitele, Tumelokitele, Tumelokitele.
I'm sure others are on their way, but we are going to start. I think that Thabo is just busy getting this stuff together, and maybe just to make his life easier, maybe we should just get into one space so he can talk to us. So maybe if there are those of us over here, can we just get into the one space, please? I'm sure others will come, but let us, kind of do that at least. Just makes it much nicer. This is what we want. Influence, influence. Influence, that's right, that's right. I have spoken. This time around, I got you, babe. Okay. So we're gonna open in prayer. What are you doing? What are you doing? I'm dealing with the substance related. Okay, substance related disorders. Okay. So let's bow our heads as we. Father, as we're about to get into this subject, as we have the opportunity to converse one with another about this topic, we again ask for the presence of your Holy Spirit. Lord, I pray that those who are on their way, that you will grant them traveling mercies as they make their way back also. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, in the name of Jesus. Amen. Amen. This afternoon, like I had said earlier on, I think the topic that we are going to be doing right now is important. All mental institutions, public and private, are full. We don't have space. Private institutions, rehabilitation centers cannot cope with the numbers of people who are there because of substance-related problems. Employers, industries are suffering financially because of people who have been booked off or who are being booked off because of problems of substance-related disorders. I just want us, I don't know if Cliff, is it fine? Oh, please, you must have elected the next chief deacon. He's doing so well this week. He's doing very well. I'm canvassing for him. He has helped me. He must be the chief deacon. So I decided to use this opportunity once more to cover this topic. Again, and always psychiatry, it's more, you find it in the media and newspapers all over. I also got this topic, this article, South Africa's shocking drug problem. And this was what the editor wrote. Drug use in South Africa is currently twice the world norm, and the use of cocaine and data has increased by 20% in 2 years, said the Central Drug Authority on Tuesday. The drug problem in South Africa remains very serious, with drug usage being twice the world norm in most cases. This is only the tip of the iceberg. And this article was written, I think, 3-4 years ago when Nyobe was not even in the picture there. Okay? So we've decided now to cover these topics, psychoactive substances of abuse. This actually, when we started psychiatry, this was the psychoactive substances of abuse. But they deleted the term, we don't know the reason why. They left it as substance-related disorders. This one makes sense, psychoactive substance of abuse. By definition, this is how we define psychoactive substances. Anything, any substance which has brain-altering activities. Anything that you take goes into your stomach, then comes into the brain, and it alters your brain functioning. It's a psychoactive substance. The other name, as you can see, is abusive drugs. Few facts that we need to touch on drugs, that we need to know. It does not discriminate. It asks no age, name, title, or gender. I've seen people who are so educated come to me, doctor, hey, I'm in trouble. This is the kind of job I was doing. All my money goes into substance. I'm on cat. I'm on cocaine. This chap that I saw some years ago, my wife is not aware that I've been borrowing money against the bond of the house. We had paid the house. He doesn't know that I was going to the bank. Can you imagine? This lady was owning an IT company. The company went down because she was going to the bank. She was saying per week she was withdrawing about 3,000 or so to fund a drug behavior. It respects no boundaries and obeys no law. It is a master of disguise. It has many names, forms, faces, and colors. It knows no religion. Talking business with it is talking death. I've seen young people who have been on cocaine in Yaoundé. You know, once you are addicted to these things, our facility, I've seen young people jumping a huge fence 2 meter high when this thing is calling, when the withdrawals are calling. A young man jumping a fence, a barbed wire fence, running into the township just to get a bit of that. So talking with it is talking death. Few facts again about drug reactions that you need to note. Different drugs cause different feelings and physical responses. We may be on cocaine, all of us here. Okay, different drugs. If you take a cocaine, a dark or whatever, we're going to react differently. You know, if you go to Jamaica, genetic predisposition, those people are used to DACA automatically. They will tell you, some of our colleagues who come to present to us psychiatrists there, to them DACA is not a problem. They hardly see DACA psychotic disorders. No, people smoke it in the street, they don't have any problem. But bring it to us here, who are not genetically predisposed, you will end up being a schizophrenia. Sometimes ago, parents brought this young boy to me, a final year LLB student. He was on DAFA, he developed schizophrenia. Parents were crying in my office. Dr. Charles, so what do you do? There's nothing can heal the schizophrenia. We were talking about him. He was in our presence. He could not even hear us. He was just talking alone, laughing, doing all those things. We had to recommend to the university for him to leave school. And remember, schizophrenia is a permanent diagnosis. LLB, final year. This man was passing first year, second year, final year. Full-blown schizophrenia. Different people respond differently to the same drugs. You may take that, I may take that, I may not, nothing could happen to me, but you may end up in a schizophrenia yourself. The more drugs you take, the more drugs you will need. This is now abuse and eventually dependence. Remember, when we say you are abusing, we actually mean you're taking this substance more and more, and the substance has now impaired you socially or occupationally and otherwise. But by dependence, this is what you guys normally call addiction. We don't use the term addiction like that. We use the term dependence. Those who are dependents are people who now develop withdrawal symptoms. The withdrawal symptoms simply mean when the drug goes down into the system, this person develops some symptoms, something that demands that he should take relief these symptoms. Normally, there are more of anxiety symptoms. How do you classify substances of abuse? The first one, I see so many of the people here who are addicted. Caffeine. Okay, people are addicted to caffeine. Normally, start when you are still students. You know, I study much better after taking coffee or so. That can lead to addiction. Inhalants. This is what we call gateway. Okay? Poverty-stricken areas, they start with blue, paraffin, etc. With time, they graduate, they go to higher stuff. Cigarette, patients will come to me, no, doctor, I don't do drugs, I only smoke. No, you are doing drugs. Cigarette is a drug because it has a brain-altering activity. You understand? Wonderful. Alcohol. No, I don't do drugs, but I drink alcohol. You are doing drugs. You are abusing drugs. Alcohol is a drug of abuse. Daha. Okay? chipped up, very common. People are making money out of it. Cocaine, little bit more expensive, but not that expensive. Opioids is for people who are around something here, those who can afford now. Phencyclidine, same thing, those who can make good money. Hallucinogens, same thing, quite expensive. Amphetamines, pill, person will tell you one pill, 300 rands, 500, one pill, not one box. 300, 500 rand. Sedative, hypnotic, anxiolytics, these are our medications. That's why doctors have to be careful how they prescribe medication. This is our medication, used for sedation and also for anxiety. But people tend to steal our medication, and from there they start abusing it. Once they abuse it, they go about now robbing people in order to get them. But what is dangerous, I want to warn ladies, but I know our ladies here don't smoke. You can go and impart this information to people outside. What happens in those young girls who go to taverns? Okay, these guys will be having this hypnol. Or those at universities, you attend parties, etc. When you go out to the bathroom or so, somebody just put it in your drink. You come back, you take a sip, you are gone. All the guys at the party will assist themselves with you. This young girl to us, being a heavy smoker, I think she was doing final year journalism. Why are you smoking too much like this? Hey, doctor, I'm stressed. Doctor, I'm stressed. Hey, I've got problems. They put you on some good medications, even the one for anti-clear. What is the problem? Until eventually she said, hey, doctor, my problem is some years ago, at home, parents are very strict. There was a party somewhere, and I sneaked out through the window, went to the party. At the party, I am told that some guys put in something in my drink. In the morning when I woke up, I was naked. It was all over the show, whatever, social media, that everybody who was at the party had themselves with me. I could not go and report this at home because parents, I was in the house sleeping. I could not go and open the case. So she ended up trying to cope now, depression, what we were talking yesterday. She started now trying to cope with her depression by using those substances. Then we have Nyaupe. Nyaupe is a combination of all this nonsense. One young man was explaining to me that, no, we bake it. How do you do Nyaupe? No, doctor, we bake it. We take cocaine, we take data, we do it like dough, then we put it in the oven. It gets baked up, then we take it down, we cut it into smaller pieces, then we start selling it. You can imagine, data alone is so dangerous. You can imagine the combination of data, cat, and everything. This is the article that interested me in 2009. The value, look at the prices then. That was 2009. Cocaine cat. 13 kg of cocaine. 3 million, could make 3 million. Remember this fellow came to that, hey, Dr. Chai, I want to resign. He was a director in one of the department. I want to resign. I'm not making money. I want to go and sell drugs because I'm still owing my home loan. I said, I think there's more money in there also. Look at heroin, 16 kg, 3 million. 16 kg, cat, 1 gram of cat, 1 kilogram of cat, 3 million. 5 tablets of Mandrex, then 21,000. So what we're going to cover today is alcohol. I'm going to confine myself quickly to alcohol because this is the most common drug of abuse. Like I was saying, people don't think it's a drug of abuse, okay? And this was a statement, this was Africa Magazine, no, Time Magazine. Is Africa a drug? This is what they said. South Africa is one of the world's heaviest drinking nations. In fact, we were among the top 3 the past 2 years. Maybe we are now number 1. We may be doing better in Bafana, but we're coming to alcohol. We are number, they respect us. Few statements on alcohol. People have written interesting statements. Better sleep with a cannibal than a drunken Christian. It's bad for a Christian to drink. I remember this young man came to, the reason why I'm presenting this because we have lots of alcohol problems, even in the church, not only outside. The young man came to me and said, look, doctor, I didn't know him. No, I'm also selling the Adventist. Oh, where do you come from? No, I'm from somewhere purchased room or so. So why are you here? I'm depressed. What is it? No, why are you so depressed? No, this girlfriend has me. What is the problem? Why have you been dumped? Hey, it's because she's accusing me that I'm drinking too much and I'm a womanizer. Can you imagine? An Adventist. Is she an Adventist? No, she's not an Adventist. An Adventist gets dumped by a non-Adventist because he's a womanizer and an alcohol abuser. So bad, isn't it? Other statement. As an alcoholic, you will violate your standard quicker than you can lower them. Wine has drowned more men than the sea. Alcoholism is a devastating, potentially fatal disease. The primary symptoms of having it is telling everyone, including yourself, that you're not an alcoholic. In my lowest moments, the only reason I did not commit suicide is that I knew that I would not be able to drink anymore if I was dead. History of alcohol, quickly. Noah, we know him. This man was doing so well as a preacher until he decided to be a farmer. I don't know why he became a farmer. After the flood, Noah became a farmer and planted land, and one day became drunk and lay naked. He could have stuck with his preaching. He was doing so well. For 100 years, he was doing so well. He changed his career and became a farmer. Problem started. Lord, you remember when he came out of Sodom and Gomorrah and went to the mountains there, and one day this is what happened. One day the elder daughter said to him, look, our father is old and there is no more around here to give us children. Let's get our father, drink wine, and then sleep with him and preserve our family line through our father. So if you drink alcohol, you'll end up sleeping with your own daughter. Said, after being saved by grace. What about Belshazzar? While Belshazzar was drinking, he gave orders to bring in the gold and silver cups. So they brought these gold cups taken from the temple of God in Jerusalem, and the king and his nobles, his wife, and his concubines drank from the holy vessels. Can you imagine a concubine drinking from the holy vessels of the Lord? John the Baptist, before he got beheaded, there was a party. People were drinking there. Okay, so few facts on alcohol. It is a primary drug of abuse. That's the reason that wine presents a common drug of abuse. December it's here. There's a big party in Mafeking there, the 60s. Young people know everybody will be going to Mafeking. Accidents that happen there, it's so bad. People simply go to this big farm. People from out in GP for the 60s, but people drink there. It's responsible for nearly half of all motor vehicle accidents, affects 7.5 million South Africans. The number is just going up and up. We have 182,000 illegal shebbeens, not churches, shebbeens. 18 to 22-year-olds are the group of heaviest alcohol abusers. You can imagine, these people are at university. What kinds of graduates are they going to be? 35% of high school kids are problem drinkers who drink at least 9 units spirit, 1 liter wine, or 2 liters or so. Let's talk quickly about the biochemistry of alcohol. What is alcohol? This is how chemistry, those who are doing metric, those who are in the chemistry at university, this is how we define it. A group of organic molecules that have a hydroxyl group attached to it. So for people who are, lay people who are not in chemistry also, when they think of alcohol, they think of beer. They don't know that it's a general term for a group of disorders, not disorder, group of chemicals that have this hydroxyl group. There are many types of alcohols. The one that we drink as people is the one called ethanol, because it has got 2 carbon molecules. Others have got 4 carbon molecules, 5, 6 carbon. Those ones are poisonous. You cannot drink them. Okay? But including this one as Christians, you're not allowed to drink it. So alcoholism, what is it? Is it a disease? Is it a social problem? Or a spiritual problem? What do you think? Let's get talking. Is it a disease, a social problem? It's a disease. Why do you think it's a disease, Brian?
Because it alters the biochemistry of the body and therefore has a long-term effect that then impacts the social.
That impacts the social. What about the spiritual? So can you say it's a disease alone?
No. It has an impact. Yes,
It's a combination. It's a combination of the three. Okay. In fact, it's what we call a demon. Ne? Why do we call it? It's a demon in disguise. Ne? Listen to this statement to the sister. She's from a camp meeting, maybe she's tired. Sometimes when I reflect back on all the beer I drink, I feel ashamed. Then I look into that glass and think about the workers at SAB and all of their hopes and dreams. If I didn't drink the beer, they might be out of work and their drinks would be shattered. Then I say to myself, it is better that I drink and let their drinks come through than be selfish and worry about my beer. She's such a generous sister. Attitude of God towards alcohol. It has always been the same. Okay, it does not change. I am the Lord that changeth not. The Lord said to Aaron, you and your sons are not to drink wine or other fermented drink whenever you go into the tent of the meeting. Daniel resolved not to define himself with the royal food and wine, and he asked the chief official for permission not to define himself. So God's children have always maintained one thing, that alcohol is a no-no. I've got friends who are Jehovah's Witnesses who say, no, we are allowed a little, as long as you take little. How much is little? Okay?
Today, many Adventists today argue that wine is not, as much as we do the theology, and I get it.
Yes.
There's a lot of Adventists, honestly, who will turn around and say to you, if they'll be brutally honest, that they don't have a problem with it.
What are the reasons? Or they don't just have a problem.
Because then they don't see themselves not neither are they drunk, neither are they inebriated.
Who wants to respond? I don't want to create a dialogue between me and the error. Or he did not get the question.
Oh, no. I was simply saying that, I don't want to leave us as an Adventist community out of the equation as if only Jehovah's Witnesses and everybody else drink alcohol. Because the truth is, even in the church, there are folks who do drink alcohol and will justify that at the end of the day, there's biblical texts that talk about the fact that you see those in the Bible who drank alcohol, and therefore why can't we? Because at the end of the day, I'm not inebriated. I'm not losing my mind. I am sane, and it does taste good. So let's be real here. You know what I'm saying? Folks drink alcohol in the church. So let me not try and make it as if this is an external thing to the Adventist church.
Quite interesting. Can I just go through it, finish, so that we can entertain it? Can you pack it a little bit? Wonderful. Samson's mother, before he was born, he was told, now see to it that you don't drink no wine or other fermented drinks, and that you do not eat anything unclean. Okay? John the Baptist, the angel also instructed Elizabeth, he is never to take wine or other fermented drink, and you'll be filled with the Holy Spirit, even from birth. Okay? Again, it's so strange. Research has confirmed that alcoholism runs in families. That's why I said there must be a demon of some kind. There are families where you are told, not at home, the father, the mother, everybody, children. And from the grandparents, same thing. It runs in families. Again, it goes back. Alcohol, the neurotransmitters we spoke about yesterday, serotonin, dopamine, GABA. We said yesterday we have receptors in the brain, the ones that we spoke about. Alcohol attached in those receptors, and eventually people start feeling good. He was depressed, he started feeling okay. But with time, we know that the very same alcohol which was giving sleep, which was more of a relief when coming to depression, automatically worsens the situation. Okay? In children, history has shown that those who are born with neurological deficits, those who have ADHD childhood disease that we trade very common, attention deficit hyperactivity disorders. This child is just restless, hyperactive, energetic in class, poor concentration, poor attention, and as a result, you end up underperforming. Those who have these disorders, they are at risk of being alcoholics if they are not treated properly at childhood. People who come from abusive relationships, some of them end up being alcoholics. Okay? Those who attend parties a lot, at the after tears is what we call after tears. I don't think Santinel should help them. We have after tears. Psychosocial stressors. Children learn from what they see and not from what they hear. This is what the psychologists say. Pharmacokinetics. What do you mean by pharmacokinetics? By pharmacokinetics simply is what the body does to the drug. When alcohol comes into the body, what does the body do? This is what happens. 10% of alcohol gets absorbed in the stomach. This is the stomach. This is your esophagus, you digest the food comes into the stomach. Okay? And the remainder of alcohol, these are small intestines, get absorbed here. The remainder into the large intestines, which is the colon. And the Lord is so wonderful. He also gave us what we call the liver, which is right here, underneath here. The function of the liver, those who did biology, you remember it's more like a filter. It filters anything that is threatening to the body, that might be poisonous to the body. And how does it do that? Through these two enzymes, alcohol dehydrogenase and aldehyde dehydrogenase. And 10% of alcohol gets excreted by the kidneys. Kidneys are just in the back here. Your kidneys are just here at the back. And there's also excreted the remainder through the lungs. If you speak to people who have drunk alcohol, when you speak to them, that's how alcohol is get excreted from the body. But of interest is the two enzymes. Research shows that women have got less of this. That's why if you drink the same amount of alcohol with a man, you get drunk quicker than a man because we have less of this. And that is why chances of a woman developing liver disease she drinks is higher than a man because of the liver, which has got less enzymes. Are we together? Okay. Let's pass. In the liver now, we are now in the liver. What happens in the liver? When alcohol reaches the liver, this is what the liver does. It produces alcohol dehydrogenase, the enzyme, because if alcohol would not produce that enzyme, this enzyme will be converted into what we call acetaldehyde, which is toxic. If you can fall into a bucket full of acetaldehyde, you will die immediately because it's poisonous. But God is good. He produces, gives us another hormone, aldehyde dehydrogenase enzyme. I'm sorry. And this enzyme changes this toxic substance into a non-toxic substance called acetic acid. This is what the liver does for those who do alcohol, who take alcohol. Okay? Pharmacodynamics. By pharmacodynamics, we actually mean what the substance does to the brain. How to get. So what it does, it attaches, there are these GABA receptors. You normally find them around here. This is the occipital lobe. Frontal lobe, this is what differentiates us from animals. Animals don't have this. That's why an animal can propose to her sister, okay, please sister, okay, because his sister or whoever, they can marry as brother and sister because they don't have this. This is what makes us human beings, persons. If a person sleeps with his sister, is an animal. It's like somebody who does not have this. Okay? So we have the occipital lobe. This is what makes you see. I was listening to the sister who was saying that there's some bleeding in the brain, you cannot see possibilities. She might be bleeding from the occipital lobe, which makes her to see. This is for vision. Then this is the cerebellum, which makes me to be able to speak and to walk like this, to maintain balance. Cerebellum. So more of these GABA receptors are found here in the cerebellum. That is why when people are drunk, all the alcohol is here, and the cerebellum is inhibited. As a result, they can no longer work properly because of the interference with the cerebellum. Are we together? Good. That's pharmacodynamics. Effects of drugs. We're going to move quickly. I try to summarize them. Brain atrophy. By brain atrophy, unfortunately, I couldn't show you CT scan. Brain atrophy simply means the alcohol has taken the brain away. If you do the CT scan, you check the CT scan of somebody who has been abusing alcohol, young as he is, 40 years of age, the brain has shrunk. It looks like somebody who's 8 years who has Alzheimer's, it has shrunk. We know of such nephews, who are who are alcohol dependent or who are abusing alcohol. Even the way they speak, they are so slow. They look tired when they walk, but they will always say, "Okay, man, I still want to work. Man, even but in Spain, if I my CV, I'm giving you a CV." He's so tired. You ask yourself, "Oh, in the interview, how is he going to do?" And alcohol now produces psychiatric disorders, almost 13 of them. Yesterday we did not mention them. From depression, anxiety disorders, manic disorders, sexual disorders, you name them, sleep disorders, about 13 of them come from alcohol. Then polyneuropathy. Polyneuropathy, if we have uncles, grandpas or so who have been abusing alcohol a lot, they lose the sensation in their feet. The cerebellum is gone, they lose sensation. When they walk, it's like, there are holes, you've seen them, eh? That's how they work, it's because of this polyneuropathy. What are other effects? It can predispose you to pneumonia or PTB, that is pulmonary TB. Why? Because alcohol destroys your immune system. At the end of the day, you end up being like somebody who has HIV because you no longer have the immune system. Okay? What about in the cardiovascular? Alcohol, people don't know. It can cause heart disease, what we call cardiomyopathy. If you do the X-ray of somebody, chest X-ray of somebody who has been abusing alcohol, the heart is enlarged. It looks like my mother. She's old. She's 82 years of age. She has been on high blood medication. The heart is tired. It's understandable if the heart appears huge. Okay, in other words, the muscles are swollen. At your age, I don't expect a heart like that. The heart should be right in the center. But when you abuse alcohol, the heart enlarges, you get cardiomyopathy. Then it can predispose you to hypertension. Genital urinary, we said yesterday, it can cause impotence. And once alcohol has given you impotence, unfortunately, no urologist can reverse that. It's permanent. No urologist. No urologist will ever get you right. Permanent damage.
You said you can never rise to the occasion.
You summarize it well. It's a nice summary. I don't have to repeat that. That's it. That's it. It's over. The party is over. But now it can cause libido. Reduce libido. In other words, the desire is no more. Gone. It's just an elder in the church, that's it. It's an ordained elder. I'm married to an ordained elder. Okay. Genital urinary. This is what it can cause. Quickly, it can burn your esophagus. In the stomach, in here, can cause gastritis, peptic ulcers. By hematemesis, which simply means you can end up vomiting blood in here. The pancreas, this is at the back. This is what gets hit when you drink alcohol. Eventually, if the pancreas is damaged, it's at the back, that's when you can develop even diabetes. Pancreas, remember, is the one responsible for producing insulin. If you drink a lot, you can get pancreatitis or eventually pancreatic cancer, which is so painful. Liver disease. We remember Thabo Tshabalala, you know her, the ex-minister. She died of liver disease because of this. She was admitted. The ANC as comrades organized a liver for her, but she continued drinking. You can imagine. People have done you a favor, they've given you a liver, you still continue drinking. Financial crisis, this is what can happen. Divorce eventually, motor vehicle accident, work-related problems, absenteeism, underperformance, poor hygiene, social violence, and rape. suicide can come out of people who abuse substances. Approach as a definition is still the same. Medication, when we admit them, medication, psychological, social, and spiritual. When they come in the state, having gastritis, this man here is having a gastritis, very painful. Remember, the stomach is bent, or is having pain, very painful. These are the guys who end up being admitted in ICU because some of them will be vomiting blood. So doctors have to manage them first as medical patients. What do? Is for detoxification, cleaning first the system, and we also now treat the underlying medical or psychiatric complications. But normally, we try to start with the treatment of medical complications, treating gastritis or peptic ulcers themselves first. Then later on, when this person is stable, that's when we can do our counseling sessions. Psychiatrists, psychologists coming to deal with the stressors, encouraging the change of lifestyle, and spiritual commitment, psychoeducation on drugs. Rehabilitation. You have heard of people saying he has been taken for rehabilitation. You have heard that? Or this guy is with the manager or the supervisor is going for rehabilitation. Not everybody is a candidate of rehabilitation though. There are criteria. For a person to be taken for rehabilitation, these are two criteria. Good inside. In other words, this person is aware that he has a problem and is willing to get help. Number two, there must be motivation. Doctor, I want to stop. If you don't have these two, don't take this person for rehabilitation. I was telling some parents just last week where I'm working in the public. Boy has been from rehabilitation to rehabilitation 6 to 9 times. You know how much out of their pockets? 15,000 rands for 2 weeks. I told them that if you have cash, it's fine, it's your money, I cannot control you, but this is a waste of time. This man does not have insight, he does not have any motivation to stop. The father, the stepfather for that matter, was saying, Doctor, you know what? I just paid about 20,000 for this boy. He's from rehabilitation. Immediately, 3 days after rehabilitation, he went for his cat. He's from the 6th time. I told them he is not a candidate for rehabilitation. One woman some years ago came to me and said, no, Dr. Tshabalala, remove my child from this ward of psychotic patients. He does not have, I'm taking for a better place in somewhere in Portismo. I think he needs only rehabilitation, not to be in this ward of mad people. I tried to speak to him. He's not a candidate. He's not a candidate for rehabilitation. No, I want my child. Okay, no, that's fine. We discharge the patient. She went, and they are smart. The rehab people are smart. They wanted their money in advance. She went and paid the 20,000. After 3 days or so, he absconded. They say no change. She came back to us, and hey, Dr. Chan, and you told me. He came to understand, he jumped the fence. And so these people are saying, we don't want him anymore, but they don't want to find me. And abuse, we have about this. And abuse, it's a medication, tablets. Okay, tablets that we use, there's an implant, there are also tablets that we use for those people who are motivated to stop, but unfortunately the cravings are there. So what do? We prescribe for them this anti-abuse disulfiram. What does disulfiram do in the system? You'll see it later. But for us to prescribe it, there are 3 sets of criteria. A person must be in good health, especially for the liver. The liver must be healthy because this acts in the liver. But again, there must be motivation and cooperation. How does it work? Look at how it works. It follows the same mechanism. We know that alcohol in the liver gets converted into alcohol by alcohol dehydrogenase into a toxic acetaldehyde. Then later it gets converted into acetic acid, which is non-toxic by acetyl dehydrogenase. So, anti-abuse, what it does, it comes, after being drank, it goes into the liver, and this is what it does. It simply blocks the aldehyde dehydrogenase from converting this into a non-toxic substance. Are we together? As a result, there's a build-up of toxic acetaldehyde. If this builds up into your system, the person, this immediately you touch alcohol, you are on and abuse, and you touch just a small amount of alcohol. This is what happened. Confusion, tension headaches, hot flashes, sweating, dyspnea, that is difficulty breathing, hyperventilating, anxiety, tachycardia, the heart beats fast, hypertension, the blood pressure drops, and you become weak. So in other words, it's one way of discouraging this person from taking substance. So the person becomes fearful, I'm on this. So the best way, because some of the uncles are smart, if you give them tablets, when they go to the funerals, they don't take the tablets because they'll be after tears, obviously. Okay? So he's going to drink, postpone. Then tomorrow he'll be able to take his anti-abuse. So the best one will be the implant that we put. We just cut a little bit. We open the skin, we put it in there. It's always in the bloodstream, which works much better for them. Most of the guys who are serious about quitting do well and they stop. Okay? It lasts for more than a year or two or so. Okay? It works very well for those people who are serious about quitting. Okay? Eventually, when we're about to stop now, advice from the Lord. Yeah? Wine produces mockers, liquor leads to brawls. Whoever is led astray by drink cannot be wise. He who loves pleasure will become poor. Whoever loves wine and oil will never be rich. So if you want to be rich, stay away. I don't know if I'm answering Brother. The reason why Adventists will not drink, they are afraid that they'll be poor. Distraction is setting for you who get up early to begin long drinking bouts that last late into the night, but you never think about the Lord or notice what He's doing in your life. In conclusion, there's this beautiful French statement. Change your life today, don't gamble on the future, act now without any delay. Thank you so much. We can discuss. That was alcohol, common substance of abuse. I keep it at that level, but we can discuss others because there's no way you can discuss all of them in this same time. They are big. The now best of Satan. Your comment, oh yes. Yeah. Okay. I saw my brother.
So I just wanted to ask, is there any danger or whatnot? Like, let's say if you drink wine once in a while, so like a glass of wine once a day or something like that. Is there anything wrong with that, or based on your conversation or your discourse today? I guess all persons or all people preferably should just stay out from even a drop of wine or any type of alcohol.
This one I open it to all of us. Who wants to respond? You want to respond to this question?
I think that's it.
You want to respond?
Yes.
Responding. Okay.
Respond. That's basically what I'm saying is okay to like sin every now and then. I mean, it's the same type of thing. Like, I know he's probably just asking, just being genuine, but that's the same type of thing. You can't really say.
Just repeat your comment again. Since some people miss it.
I think saying like, is it okay to like drink once in a while, maybe Christmas or whatever, or birthday? It's just like saying, is it okay to go to like a strip club once every like your birthday or something? It doesn't make sense.
I think that dealing with millennials are reading the Bible differently, right? And as millennials are reading the Bible, I went to the bathroom, so I don't know what Errol said, but millennials are saying, when Jesus turned water into wine, you cannot tell me that was pick and paste by his scriptures, right? And so what they're saying is that whilst the Bible says strong drink is a mocker, wine is raging, it also says little is good for the stomach. And so whilst when I'm just keeping it as real as millennials are now. When we grew up, Our parents told us don't drink, and we were more afraid of doing anything wrong, so we obeyed to the letter. Millennials are saying, I'm reading in many, many versions, and I'm seeing it differently. And so, from their perspective, and it's not just millennials, there are others who are saying, I'm collecting wines, I'm a connoisseur of wines, I have a little with my dinner, and they are Adventists. We're not talking about people who are hypothetical, I'm talking about Bible believing Christians, right? Who previously we could have said, hey, just abstain to keep it, let's avoid all appearance of evil. Whereas people today are saying, actually, the way I'm reading it, this is what I see. So, in that regard, you almost have to come with a more convincing argument than just saying, don't do it, because you're dealing with a reasoning mind, not a mind that is just saying, tell me what to do and I will do it. I don't know if I'm representing.
Yeah, that's what the one did you talk about?
Yeah, and that's where the mindset is at, and that's where the educated mindset is at as well.
The millennials are going to assist me on this. Elder, you have to assist me.
No,
You have to
conversation.
Anyways, my brother, quite interesting. It's very interesting. I'm learning something too.
And in addition to that, I know that some coffee syrups that are recommended that go up to 20% alcohol in them. What's your stance on that? What's the difference? Is it the difference in the type of alcohol? You say type 2, type 4, etc. But it seems to have more or less the same effects. So I don't know. I don't know if it's the medical field practicing what the Bible says when they say a little is good for the stomach.
Maybe this one, let me attempt it quickly. It's much easier than this one that one has been raised. Yeah, when coming to alcohol, when we say this medication has got alcohol, we don't necessarily mean beer. I don't know if you're there when beer.
That's right.
I don't know if you're there when I was defining what alcohol is, biochemistry speaking. Remember, it's a biochemical compound. Alcohol is any substance that has got an OH attached to a hydroxyl group attached to it. Any carbon molecule, okay, has a hydroxyl group. So there are about 10 types of alcohol, depending on the number of carbon molecules. Okay, this is a carbon 1 molecule alcohol, carbon 2 molecule, carbon 3 molecule. The one that we're drinking, that is drinkable, is the one that has got 2 carbons. Anything that does not have 2 carbons may be poisonous. This is the one that is used, for example, in industries, for cleaning, painting, etc. So the one that is in medication is not a carbon 2. And the reason why it's added, if you check all the medication that has got alcohol in it, after taking it you get drowsy, etc. But the benefit thereof, for example, I will give those people who normally suffer from flu, they will be given what you call Actifed. I don't know if you've taken Actifed. Yeah? If you check Actifed, it has got some alcohol in it. The benefit is for what? Drying off the mucus. That's the benefit. Okay. Of course, the side effect is going to be the same like in alcohol. Remember, at the end of the day, it's an alcohol. So it's for medicinal purpose, not for recreational purpose. Okay. In psychiatry, we normally talk of the pattern of use of a substance. Use, abuse, and dependence. Use, you take this substance, now I'm coming to her for recreational purpose. I'm invited to the party, I'm just taking a glass. It's a use for recreational purpose. But abuse is when I'm no longer even giving her money. All the money goes to alcohol. I'm no longer going to work on Monday after taking it. Dependence, on Monday I'm shaking like this because of alcohol, I'm sweating, I need to get something before I start working on my computer. That's dependent. I cannot do without alcohol. Okay? So Paulette is talking about use now. The millennials are saying, is there anything wrong if you use alcohol? That one I've shared it a little bit for Elder Ego to assist us.
So incidentally, in addition to what Paul was saying, on Thursday speaking to a friend of mine who happens to be a rabbi, and the conversation drifted towards the use of alcohol, and he was explaining that in the Jewish culture, alcohol is permissible because they consider it holy.
Not wine, alcohol.
Wine, sorry, wine. Let me correct that.
Fermented or unfermented?
Fermented. And he explained.
Fermented.
Yes.
Because we need to be clear.
Fermented grape juice or wine has some spiritual use within the Jewish culture, and he explained that it represents, much like the Sabbath, something that is representing both an end and a beginning. So wine is one of the only things that as it gets older, it gets newer. So as he explained, the Sabbath is also at the end of the week, it's the beginning of the new one and so forth. So they would drink wine at the end of the Sabbath, a glass or two, in celebration, and it's part of their Jewish culture as it has been for years and years. And he pointed me to a scripture in the Torah, in Deuteronomy 14, which speaks about taking fermented drink and bringing it into the presence of the Lord and drinking it there. As a practice which the Torah or the Bible was actually recommending. So my question is, or maybe my just putting my thought out there, is it necessarily wine that is a problem or the abuse of it? The same way in which sex is good, but we're taken out of the context in which God had intended it, it becomes bad. Could we apply the same to wine to say perhaps there's a spiritual use for it or an appreciation of it which when abused becomes wrong?
Interesting.
Yes. And we've been to Jewish friends.
Yes.
And they, at the close up, I've been to a shul. We've been to Jewish shuls where the rabbi's taking the Jack Daniels, and I'm saying, this is the rabbi's taking down a couple of Jack Daniels. So I'm not trying to sort of sensationalize it. I've watched this, to your point. But I also know that Jews have also somehow allowed their theology to embrace shrimp at the same time, and prawns. So sometimes I wonder about theology. Does that make sense? Because at the end of the day, how do you embrace shrimp and also unclean foods when the Bible's equally clear on the things that you're not supposed to do? Then I go to Desire of Ages page, I think 149, where Jesus talks about the water turning into wine. And Spirit of Prophecy talks about the fact that it was unfermented. It was unfermented. It was great. We would want, it sounds, to believe that it was fermented, but Spirit of Prophecy says it was unfermented wine. So this is why I'm saying this is an interesting conversation, only because whilst I have never tasted wine, and if I've tasted it by accident, it has had, and literally Paul will tell you, it has had some very, how do you call it? Violent reactions on me. Like that brain section shutting down very fast. My kids laughed at me badly because I had accidentally not realized that what I had something in it, and I took one sip and I threw up and I couldn't drive the car straight, and they were saying, "Dad, you're a real virgin." And so I'm just being real about it, you know what I'm saying? So I realized that this is a struggle. This is a struggle. Does that make sense? This is a real struggle. And whilst I personally believe that's something that should be taken, and it's not about the medicinal, because I think we've qualified the medicinal piece. And whilst you see in the Old Testament many who drank wine, I'm sure David wasn't drinking necessarily unfermented wine. Does that make sense? But just because in the Old Testament we see those in historical past drinking wine that may have been fermented, my question is what was God's ideal? Because that's what I keep going back to as my starting point. What was the ideal versus the post-fallen condition, and what may be adopted versus what the ideal is? And I still hold the view that I would prefer to live in God's ideal than the post-fallen condition.
Hallelujah.
Hey, powerful. And, yeah, so thanks so much, Elder. Yeah, there's still hands.
Okay, let me talk to those who have responded.
I think perhaps the argument that we're going to take and say, if science says that it's okay to have one glass, it's good for the heart, and all those things. The Bible is quite clear in the Old Testament that I can't remember who the statement was made to, but the Bible says that wine is not for kings. Yes, wine is not for kings. Give it to those who are something to the effect that those who I can't really remember what the statement is, but bottom line is that that argument does not hold water, because if we're using that argument, then we should also say that God should not have given us the health message, because He's the first one who said, no, you can kill animals and eat them. But the point is that it was because of a temporary time that there was no vegetation for them to eat, and He made that provision for them to take flesh. But in the beginning, it was not God's intention that flesh should be made meat for us to depend on. And so I think that we take alcohol also and we say that it was never intended for God for us to take anything that is fermented and put into our bodies. It's not for our good. And we know the effects from all the accounts that we find in the Bible of what has happened when people have taken alcohol. Even with the best of intentions, the results have always been terrible. So if we are going to take it, our results are not going to be any different. People have made very bad decisions and regretted them. The time or the day when John the Baptist was beheaded, the Bible clearly says that who's the gentleman who did this? Had all intentions to release John the Baptist, but because he had had wine and all these other pressures, he had to honor his word because of something that he did because he was drunk.
So I just want to be clear here. I don't think that the Adventist millennials are talking about being drunk. The Adventist millennials are not talking about being drunk. They're saying, what's wrong with a sip? A little glass. That's not going to cause a drunkenness. So when they hear texts like that, they say, you're talking about being drunk. We're not talking about being drunk. We're saying the taste thereof with a little food. That's what I mean. That's what I'm saying. So whilst it's true we can quote scriptures in that, right? Belshazzar and all of that. They're not going there just yet. They're not going that far.
Okay, it's a fairly difficult area, it is true. The way I would approach it, besides talking about scriptural prophecy, which in any place encourages the taking of alcohol, we don't find a statement that encourages anyone to take alcohol in the first place. Another way of looking at it is asking, the Bible says that knowledge will increase in the last days, isn't it? So you find that in the Bible doesn't go into detail on why God gives certain commandments. Sometimes the Bible is quiet. Now, in the last days, through science, nutrition, if you look into alcohol or into wine, the question is, what is the nutritional benefit that a person would have in drinking fermented wine? That you will not get when you drink unfermented wine, good unfermented wine. You find that the net difference between the two, between fermented wine and non-fermented wine, is really the alcohol content. So if someone really wanted wine and have the health benefits, if you go and study scientific articles on wine, we're talking about cardiovascular health and so on. The real benefit which is in the wine is the plant elements, the phytochemicals in the grape juice that help the heart. You can get the exact nutritional benefits in unfermented wine. So I don't really see
the benefit of the idea that you need to have an alcoholic wine for you to get a benefit, because you can get a medicine benefit in taking unfermented grape juice. There's a last point: God also does not remove all occasion for doubt. There will always be room for doubt and enough places to hang our cause of doubt if you want doubt. But if you want to be objective and logical about it, ask yourself, what nutritional value am I getting from this? Can I get something better that gives me the same nutritional value without the toxic effects?
But it's almost like saying, and I'm going to give it back to you, Doc. You know, when they talk about dacha in the Caribbean, and you use the Caribbean. Interesting, you use Jamaica, but it's fine. Okay, and in Jamaica, you know, when folks were growing up as children, they were given marijuana, we call ganja, as a tea, which it has about 7 healing properties. If you drink it, the minute you burn that thing, it becomes a hallucinogenic drug. So it's to that point, being that God intended a benefit, but then man turns it around into a different composition that then actually becomes destructive along the way. So if they were turning around for government and saying, yes, you could have marijuana, we can legalize it, providing you drink it, maybe there'd be a lot of healing. You didn't hear what I said, the elders crazy, but that's what I'm saying. Anyway, guys.
My was just a follow-up. He raised a very interesting point on the study which was conducted, that one glass of wine does better for the heart. That study was found that it was flawed. People who sponsored that study were winemakers themselves. How do you sponsor something then the results suit you? Yes, so don't ever rely on that message.
Okay. I've got the Bible verse here, well, a few. Proverbs 23. I think it's as clear as you can possibly get on this matter. It says, why did it change? Okay, cool. It says, who hath woe, who hath sorrow, who hath contentions, who hath babbling, who hath wounds without cause, who hath redness of eyes? They that tarry long at the wine, they that go to seek mixed wine. Now, if you're actually a wine drinker, you've ever drank wine properly, the first thing you do when you pour wine into a glass, you shake the glass, right? You shake it, and then check if it gives a stain on the glass. Then the Bible says, look not thou upon wine when it is red, when it giveth his color in the cup, when it moveth itself aright. At the last it biteth like a serpent, and stingeth like an adder. Thine eyes shall behold strange women, shall utter perverse things. Yea, thou shalt be as he that lieth down in the midst of the sea, or as he that lieth upon the top of a mast. They have stricken me, shalt thou say, and I was not sick. They have beaten me, and I felt it not. When shall I awake? I will seek it yet.
All right, I think. Thank you for that. Thank you. I'm just going to give 1 or 2 more, and then let's ask a different question. Okay?
I'd like to say I come from a family where some of my family members had alcohol problems. We didn't say they were alcoholics because when you go to the location, people drink, just say, they drink, but they don't view it as, the person doesn't view themselves as an alcoholic. But the repercussions of that is failed marriage, abuse. So this talks to the extreme use. But I think it starts somewhere with just one sip. So the argument is it's recreational, but why do you use it as recreational? Why don't you use your non-fermented one? Because it allows you to free up. Like that's the difference when people wine that's got alcohol, it allows them to free up and then they're able to socialize. What is it then that happens when a person frees up? Something happens in their brain. It means that they are not as much in control of their thinking, which is the core of the problem. You know, when you are not in control of your thinking versus when you're just drinking alcohol, wine that doesn't have alcohol, it means that your decision levels change, even with that one sip. You know, so that's what we are cautioned against. And the danger is that with alcohol, you take that one wine, maybe you know your decision levels don't change that much, but then you acclimatize. The next time, for the same effect to loosen up, you need to have 2 glasses. Then maybe a year later it's 3, and it progresses. So I think it's the maybe if I'm not using the Bible as a point of debate, it's just that we need to constantly be in charge of our thoughts because so much in a split of a second.
Thank you so much. Zuzo, you want to share? Then I've got Melissa. Sorry. Yes, Sonia and then Melissa. Then.
Yeah, I just wanted to share what you're saying on marijuana. That there's two strains or products or whatever you want to call it in marijuana. One is THC, one is CBD. THC is the drug, CBD is the medicinal element, and CBD aids in even curing cancer or aiding the body, the immune system to cure cancer, whereas THC actually induces depression, psychosis, and a few other mental things. So just to add on to what you're saying, that's what I've discovered in my research. And also CBD actually helps with insomnia.
Okay, thank you. Sonia, and then Melissa, and then we can actually bring this to a close.
I think mine is just very brief, just to answer part of well, question I think I heard why we take fermented drink. Okay. I think it's because we have spiritual issues and obviously psychological, emotional issues, and especially people of color. You know, we've been through a lot, oppression and all these things that date back years. You know, and yeah, centuries, and we instead of dealing with those things head on, we want to soothe the symptoms of whatever it is we've been through. So we go to the quickest thing that's available, which is alcohol or whatever drugs are there. So I think it just shows the level of sin that we're dealing with and how much we need God to enter into our lives. Because I used to drink and it was a form of escape. I felt like I could do anything or be, you know, it removes all inhibition. That's the honest truth. That's why people take it. So you need to deal with what's actually going on.
I have a different question from all of us, but what I can just say is that your first yes, we can do second no. So basically, if you start drinking, knowing the effects and stuff, it's going to be difficult to stop. But going to my question, we've been learning about depression and stuff like that. And like she said, like people drink to escape, right? And when someone is depressed, you guys prescribe medication to make them happy. So what is the difference when someone is, because I don't know if that medicine is purely without side effects, if it's purely healthy, natural ways to do this without necessarily chemically altering the brain just as much as alcohol does and many other drugs. So as much as people may be, because I really think it's a spiritual thing, you know, because obviously maybe you can't necessarily kill yourself, but you can't live with your current state of mind because it's terrifying. So to me, it's living. It's like it's a way of, I don't know how to explain it. It's a survival technique. Like I got to learn that these people in the streets actually take food because they don't want to feel cold at night. So like it protects them from the weather, whatever the case is. So I'm trying to understand that in terms of helping people that are really sad or have episodes of depression and stuff that may end up turning to alcoholism or whatever the case is, even given the pills that they're getting, sometimes don't they get to a stage where they want better? Like such that they end up slipping into these deadly drugs. So is there no other way? Like that doesn't necessarily. I don't know. If you get what I'm saying.
I hear you. Okay. Look, our medications, I'm not going to try and defend the medications, and I even said it last night. Medications have side effects. Remember, they are chemicals. What makes us depressed? The theory is the chemical imbalance in the brain, and for us to correct it, we need chemicals, okay? Which are our medications. Our medications have got side effects, we agree, but we have what we call doses in medicine. 1 milligram, 2 milligram, 3 milligrams, then we have what we call a dose range. Dose range simply means as long as this patient is between 10 and 30 milligrams, if that's a dose of the drug, no side effects. But if you go beyond the recommended dose, that's when you develop side effects. I'm not against herbs. My children, I grew up taking herbs also. But problem is if the person who's prescribing herbs is not well trained on them, they can be dangerous. Because remember, some of these people are not well trained. They don't even know how much you should take. And some of the stuff that come from the soil may be poisonous themselves. But coming back to your question, can our medications be addictive? Yes, we know those which are addictive. Yesterday, I'm not sure if you were here, I said all the benzodiazepines, a big class of drugs, benzodiazepines, which act where alcohol acts. Remember the cerebellum receptor, diazepam, Valium, Ativan, lorazepam, all those ones. We know that if taken for a longer period at such doses, a person may be addicted to them. That is why pharmacists know they won't give you any Ativan or diazepam if you don't have a script from a doctor. They won't, because they'll be putting their profession at risk. But antidepressants, your Prozac, fluoxetine, the Nuzec, what I showed you is Simbata said you can take them lifetime. They are not addictive because why? They don't act on the GABA receptors. They act on other areas of the brain, which cannot produce any addictive effect.
To that point, I asked you a question privately that I've heard a lot of people say that people who were suicidal, that when they took drugs, the drugs made them have suicidal tendencies. Is that a myth or is that true?
Let's correct it. It does happen that when this person is severely depressed, I think I touched on it, the person is severely depressed, you are admitting the ward. If it's fortunate enough, our medications, antidepressants, take at least 7 to 10 days to produce their effect. So if the person was severely depressed, psychosocial stressors were not addressed, and he suddenly comes out of the depression, he now has the energy. It's not the medication that makes him to kill himself. He now has the energy to carry out the plan of killing himself. Remember, when you are depressed, you don't have any energy to do anything. And so once you come out of it, so that's why they tend to confuse our medication as the ones which are causing suicide.
Okay, so,
I still see the hand there. There's another.
There are about two of them. Last questions before.
Thank you so much, Dr. Chaman. I have a burden. I did a presentation at my home church on depression, and one of the church members, and I know this is a lot, and I thank God that it hasn't happened here today, stood up and said that prayer is enough to cure depression. You know, we have these overly spiritual people who believe prayer is enough to cure depression. And
how do I, as a person, get help when I've been so damaged that I go to people, the elders in the church, and they tell me that no, you're not sick, just pray. And we have so many friends who are damaged completely by leaders, spiritual people in the church who don't understand what they're talking about, and they end up doing more harm than good. And I think it's important for us to understand as members, as we're sitting here, that we're not equipped to deal with people who are severely depressed. Don't tell me to pray more. Don't tell me to fast. Show me the direction of where I can get help. And I think every church has to develop a point or a person or a system that if I'm depressed, I know that this is the person who I can go to. Because just going to anybody, maybe I don't know how depression works, then I tell my daughter to go and pray. And then now they're just stuck in this cycle. Okay, I'm told to pray, I'm depressed. Now you feel worthless. Why is God not answering my prayer? So it's a whole cycle. So we need to develop strategies as churches and how and where do I go if I'm suicidal? Where do I go if I know that I don't want to deal anymore? And my question, and top of my comment, is how do you help those people within the church who are just so damaged beyond? What do you say to them? Because I have a friend who's come to me and they're like, I'm depressed, I've been told to pray, I've tried to see psychologists, I've tried to go to psychiatrists, but I've been told that this is a spiritual problem. Now, how do we help such people?
Those who were here yesterday, they actually helped me on this question. But maybe before I answer directly, I would like to say that small knowledge can be dangerous. And from where the church comes from, our parents used to read spirit of prophecy books, and sometimes they will misunderstand what element was writing. Don't eat meat, don't do this. It reminds me of one old man in Mangold when I was still in the university. Highly spiritual somebody. That then he used to be a fanatic of spirit of prophecy. He used to read the spirit of prophecy a lot. He was admitted, he was around 8 years of age, admitted at Medusa Academic Hospital. He's lost weight, doctors do blood tests, he's anemic. Old men, you are anemic. What is the problem? What do you eat? I'm a vegetarian. Why are you a vegetarian? Oh, I'm a Seventh Day. He was smart. I'm a Seventh Day Adventist. We don't eat meat. This person is anemic. He's dying of anemia. He does not eat meat. He's a member of Seventh Day Adventist. What does that do to the professors and other doctors when you say you're a Seventh Day Adventist? It's a bad name. It's a card. It gives a bad name. So little knowledge is dangerous. So we need to balance these things. People need to understand that knowledge is progressive. I know people will say you don't have to. It's not about psychiatric medications only. Hypertension, I will say, no, I don't take those medications. I take guava. What do they call it? Guava leaves. How do you treat hypertension with guava leaves? You cannot. It's going to kill you. Okay? You can only augment. Scientifically, it has not been proven that guava leaves do bring hypertension down. You understand? Or glucose in your blood system down. You need to get a doctor, somebody has been trained to deal on this with this medication. It's unfortunate, it's a difficult thing, but in short, I will summarize it. People need psychoeducation. We talked about it yesterday. Psychoeducation. That's it. But he said if you see somebody getting a stroke because he or she did not believe that hypertension, one needs to take medication, develop a stroke, then we have to go and pray for this person. For the Lord to reverse the stroke when he knew that he was taking medication. Said.
I was also just going to say, I think what you've been stressing, Doctor, is a holistic approach. To her point, she was saying, what's the difference between drugs and medicine? I would say, really, with psychosis or any mental illness, we're aiming for a biopsychosocial approach. It's not the medication necessarily that's going to bring a a change. You have to change your thinking, you have to change your diet, you need support, the home environment. So it's a lot that goes into homeostasis and getting better. So we cannot just say that alcohol is fine, because that's not tested. We can't put it on the same plane. Medications are thoroughly tested, and we can't say that a few doses of alcohol are going to do the work that an integrated approach will accomplish. So there's a lot more to it.
I wanted to ask a question on rehabilitation. So I saw this video on YouTube where a mom imprisoned her child to rehabilitate the person, and it actually worked quite well. What's your take on it? So then, the backstory.
Can you repeat the story? The mother
Imprisoned the child.
imprisoned the child. Where? At
In
home.
the house.
In the house. And she calls that rehabilitation. No, that's not.
Crazy. It's like I saw it and
But in our
because
in our upbringing, our parents would do the same. Tie it to a bed. That was rehabilitation.
can I just elaborate? So then what happened is she took the child to a couple of clinics for rehabilitation. It didn't work. The child took ice, so I think ice. I'm not too sure what drug it is, but I think it's ice. So then the child took ice. The child tried to take the child to a couple of rehabilitation centers, but then they didn't work, and then they also said they were full. So then the mom did some research on how to rehabilitate the person, her son, and then she built like burglars in the house.
Violation of human rights.
Burglars in the house, and then the person was literally locked in the house, and then it actually worked. What's your take on it?
It worked.
The person was
What's your take on it?
Oh, no, it's violation of human rights. We don't do that in psychiatry. That's why when psychiatry started in the early days, when people were violent, aggressive, etc., we would do what we call, what Ebolas do. They would be literally chained in dungeons, literal chains. Then we moved on, we would put them in what we call straight jackets. Straight jacket, that was before the discovery of medication. That's how we used to restrain people who were violent and aggressive. But later on, we developed what we call chemical restraints. That's why in psychiatry, we have seclusion, which is what we call seclusion rooms, for patients who are violent, dangerous to self and others. But we resort to a seclusion only as a temporary measure. You understand? But our mainstay of treatment of someone who is violent, aggressive, dangerous is chemical restraint. We have injections that we give to this person, that will sedate this person, that will give medication. In more than 99% of cases, 48 hours, 2 to 3 days, the person is out of his psychosis. He's still psychotic, but he's no longer dangerous to self and others. He's calm, he's still talking nonsense, etc. But if the situation is out of hand, of course, we are violation of basic human rights the basic human rights. So what we do is, there are people, we are not the same physiologically. Some people will give these medications that work, but I'm telling them, even after 2, 3, 4 hours, he's still violent and aggressive. Especially those who have been abusing this substance, because the brain is now used to chemicals. They don't respond quick. These are the guys that we have to seclude. We even put time, seclude for 4 hours. We check it. Add another 2 hours or so until we are sure that this person is safe now to can be mixed with other patients. So that one can cause the lady to end up in jail because it's serious violation. Or it was an argument. So we use chemical restraint, if I was to use the term. Not physical restraint.
Okay. We've come to the end, right? So we really want to thank Dr. Tshabalala and Fikile for coming all the way from Mafeking. For the knowledge, we know that Metro is very much about knowledge, and I think that many myths were busted this weekend. We've learned. We just want to say, if you are in a place that you've identified that you are feeling depressed, please feel free to come and speak to anybody in the leadership. We know that there is Vista Clinic, we know that there are free referrals. If you can't afford it, we know that you can go, can I go to Joburg Jen if I'm not feeling well?
Yes, that's another thing that I forgot to mention. Public, I mean the part-time public. We have medications, good medications, okay? We also have clinical psychologists, social workers. So if you don't have a medical aid, it's not a reason for you to remain depressed. What you offer privately is still what you offer in the public sector. So don't be afraid to simply go to your local clinic, okay? You can tell them, hey, I attended the workshop, they presented something and I feel I had these symptoms. There are doctors, every clinic there's a doctor who comes once or twice a week, depending in the area. He will assess you, a medical officer, and if he feels that your depression is too severe, that's when he can refer you to places like Best Profits or so where there are psychiatrists, or other hospitals, regional, whatever, where there are psychiatrists. But medications are there for psychiatry. You don't have to go and pay expensive fees. Psychiatrists are expensive, but we have to pay them like this or something. Go to the public.
So number one, you can go see your GP. Number two, refer to a clinic. Number three, speak to somebody here and say, I may need help and I may need support. Metro is young, we are learning, we are not afraid of making mistakes, but we are happy to fail forward. And because of that, we are trying to create an environment of honesty, of reality, but more importantly, of support. As I was listening on the radio this week, this is no longer just the 21st century disease. This is now going to surpass cancer. This is now what the medical aids are saying is the illness that is facing all industries. So because people can't cope, remember that the church has its place. It is possible for us to support you not just with prayer, but with an understanding of what to pray for. It's possible for us to support you by helping you to go to the clinic. Whilst we all grew up saying, I'm taking lemon and honey because I don't want to take drugs, there are times where if I am diabetic, I need to face the reality that I need to take drugs. And so, whilst you may not feel that we are approachable, there is always somebody here that is approachable. So reach out. This is a community of believers. More importantly, it is a community that wants to supply support. We, as they say, nobody really knows how much nobody cares what you know until they know how much you care. And so this weekend has definitely highlighted that this is not a nice to have headspace. It is a need. We're either coping with it. In fact, if you are yourself a carer, so there is number one, I'm not well. And now I need somebody to help me walk the journey, because there are times when we are all so afraid because we don't know what's going to happen. We've now learned from Dr. Tshabalala, it's actually not that scary. If I go and see somebody, they can help me, but then maybe I need to use my life group to help me get supported through this. But number two, if you are a carer, then reach out. You too may need support. Maybe you have just lost somebody and you are finding that the grief of the loss you are struggling to cope with. Now, when we are praying for you, we know how to pray, but there is also practical help. When Lazarus came out of the grave, Christ said, help him unwrap the grave clothes. Metro is a place where we are willing to participate. Now remember, when Lazarus came out, he was probably one of the first people that had come out. So they may not have unwrapped perfectly, but give us the opportunity to fail. Give us the opportunity to help, because just as this wonderful couple was willing to come, God is interested in your health. He's interested, he said, I have come that you may have life and life more abundantly. And that may mean just that the serotonin levels, the dopamine levels need to be right. If you are struggling, if you're finding your body is in pain, reach out. We do have counselors here. Gail is a counselor that is resident at Metro. But reach out to somebody and let us know how we can better support you. I'm going to ask Errol to close in prayer. And then I think we may have some dessert. I'm not sure. But that's a nice way to end this up.
Amen.
Thank you all for coming. Let's stand as we pray. So Lord, we've entered the subject matter, O Lord, that you have given to us insight and understanding around, O Lord. I appreciate, Heavenly Father, that there are so many who have shared their own stories of pain, their own stories, their own journeys. But Lord, I pray above all things that you will bless the Tshabalala family for coming, for being willing to sacrifice of their time to come and share with us at Metro. We pray, Heavenly Father, that when they leave tomorrow back to Mafeking, that you will grant them a safe journey, that they may be reunited with their family. For those of us who remain, O Lord, we have heard. We pray, Heavenly Father, that it has equipped us with more knowledge now than any other time before. But above all, O Lord, that we as a community may be able to participate in sharing one another's burdens. Lord, as the sun will set in a few hours' time, we pray, O Lord, will grant us the privilege of seeing a new week. We don't know what that week will bring. We don't know what pressures are awaiting us in this new week. The only thing we have, O Lord, is you by our side. And therefore we pray, Lord, that as we enter into the new week, we will enter in with the confidence of knowing that whatever is coming before us, towards us, you have us in the palm of your hands. Bless us, guide us, and keep us now. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen. Amen. Thank you very much, everyone. I think there's some dessert. Let us feast on the dessert. That may have a sugar rush to your brain, but I believe it's legitimate.
We have a donkey now.